welcome to this week's edition of Get Bugged with Jennifer and Mary. I'm not Jennifer, I'm Mary.
I guess that means I'm Jennifer.
I thought I'd try and throw you. Hey, what are we talking about this week?
Your favorite graphic novels!
It's my favorite.
But it does also relate to our sci-fi book bingo, so we're talking about science fiction graphic novels.
Right, because I always want people to understand that graphic novels are amazing stories. They're just visual as well as textual. So, my first, what?
And also, I'm just going to jump in on that, and also science fiction, graphic novels is not a genre, it's a format. So you have romance graphic novels, mystery graphic novels, science fiction, fantasy. You have all of the genres in graphic novels because it's just a format.
Yeah, we have a lot of memoir graphic novels, and we also have some pretty cool nonfiction ones, or they're kind of, they sit in the middle between nonfiction and fiction, like the Alexander Hamilton one, or the Muhammad Ali. We've talked about John Lewis's March several times. So, my first book, I'm going to go first because I went a little overboard.
Surprise!
Which is also a great Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn movie from the 80s.
Didn't they remake that?
They did. We don't talk about that. Because, like, why would you remake a classic? I'm a Kurt Russell stan. So,
I know.
Yeah. Alright, so my first one is Tillie Walden's On a Sunbeam. This is a YA comic. This is pretty cool. I've had people who read it and be like, I don't know what was happening in this. I'm like, yes, it's amazing.
That's me.
So,
yep.
part of it you have to know going into it, if you didn't read the description, is that it kind of goes back and forth between time. So it's the story of two girls that meet in boarding school, and one of them is from like this outer rim place that you're not supposed to go, and she actually wasn't supposed to leave, but her mom's like, no, you want to go to school, we'll send you. And so these two girls meet and form a friendship, possibly romance. But something happens, and like one of them is pulled back to the outer rim, and the other one is trying to find her, essentially. So she takes this job doing restoration, and so they go all over the galaxy, restoring these buildings for different things. And you get the story of everybody that works in this restoration crew kind of slowly comes out. So it's kind of like because it's very large. It's very, very good. The art's great. Tillie Walden didn't just write it; she also did all of the illustration for it as well. And it's really cool. I like it. I liked it a lot. All right, what's your?
It was a fast read. I liked it. There were parts where I was like, what? But I also am the person who doesn't like to read the book descriptions because a lot of times you're spoiled, and so I think probably in that case I should have done that.
Yeah, this book description, this one doesn't spoil you. Also, you had read her other one about ballet, which was very different.
And I loved it.
Spinning?
Yeah, it was a figure skating.
Or was it figure skating?
I think it went from ballet to figure skating. Anyways, it was amazing, and I wanted more of that, and so I went into this thinking, oh yeah, but it's not the same at all.
Yeah, she's one of those creators that will just, like, it's kind of like Marie Lo, like, she always, like, kind of tips her toe into a different genre each time, so you just kind of have to be open to that, but if you didn't know that, it's a little bit jarring. What's your first one? Alright,
my first one is Orange. So, funny story, oh wait, no, how do you pronounce the name?
Is Shaga Takano?
Yes, that's the author and illustrator of this. So this again is also really big. The funny thing about this one is it says it's the complete collection, and it was until they lied and made more. So it's not technically the complete collection. But it is a really fun story that I loved. It's about a girl who she's starting 11th grade, and she gets a letter from herself from the future, 10 years in the future, and her future self is like, this boy needs your help. Don't let him kind of like slide through the cracks. He's really important. You're going to want him. Something bad happens in the future. Don't let that happen. So you kind of go like a little bit of time traveling from past to future. Not past. Present to future a little bit, and she's kind of trying to figure out what's going on, and it's a lot of friendship, and there's some romance. We all know how I like the romance.
Yeah, it's a really good like beginner manga too for if you have teens or even middle schoolers that are trying to get into manga, because that one's like a really easy one to do, and there's a volume 2 to it, but like that's kind of like an afterthought, so it's like an all-inclusive like one story. Whereas a lot of our other manga is like, 20 plus volumes.
or 50 plus, or 100 plus.
And every kid we've ever given this to has absolutely loved it.
Loved it. It's so good. It's so good.
So I also have a time travel graphic novel.
What?
Yeah, so this one's called Paper Girls. It has one of my favorite artists, Cliff Chang. I actually have a whole series of fan art he did that are superheroes mixed up with 80s posters and album covers in my office. I love it. So he's pretty cool. Also, Brian K. Vaughan is the writer for this one. It's called Paper Girls. The biggest parallel I usually say is if you like Stranger Things, you'll like Paper Girls. This takes place in like 1986-87 in a Cleveland suburb. It's a bunch of newspaper girls that are trying to deliver papers the day after Halloween. And like deal with like, they have a new kid, so they're trying to show her the ropes. And she doesn't quite fit in yet, and there's a lot of denim jackets. And then also, like, all of a sudden, they think there's, like, high school kids that are drunk that are still in costume. They're, like, harassing them. And it turns out there's, like, are they aliens? Are they from a different time? Like, what's going on? And so it ends up being this huge crosstown caper book. This series is done. We have the complete series on the shelf. You should really check it out. Like I said, if you like Stranger Things, you will like this. It's very good. It's very fun. It's very 80s. It goes to some weird places, too. I have them all in single issue. Would you like me to go again?
Sure.
Okay, so next one, if you have been watching Falcon and Winter Soldier, guess what? That's science fiction. What's more science fiction than super soldiers? So I actually have a collection that we have called Captain America and Falcon. So this is a story with Steve and Sam teaming up. Steve is not dead yet. Steve Rogers is the best. Because he's the real Captain America.
That other guy's crap.
The white supremacist America? That's what I call him. Because, oh lord, he's racist. Anyway, so, so this one, I think they're trying to go after MODOK, which is like a big villain in the Avengers world who's very monologue-y and great if you like comics. So this is pretty cool. So definitely check this out. We also have some other Captain America comics. We even have a Captain America comic when Sam Wilson actually does pick up the shield, and he is Captain America, and also has to deal with a bunch of racism. So,
surprise!
I know. What's your next one?
All right, my next two go together. It is the Teen Titans. Sorry. So Cami Garcia created this with Gabriel Piccolo. So you've got Raven's story, and then you've got Beast Boy's story, and then there's a third one that's coming out.
Titans?
Which is like when they meet. So it's like single, and then they meet and things happen. Yes. So Raven is moving to, her mom dies, she moves to New Orleans. She moves to New Orleans, and she's kind of starting to like hear things and maybe see things that aren't really there, and she's like, what is happening to me? And of course she realizes terrible things are happening. And then the second book, Beast Boy, he's kind of this average guy that people kind of just not necessarily dismiss, but like he's like the dependable guy. And he kind of tries to stand out a little bit. He streaks his hair green. But it really doesn't work, and so he tries to do some dares that might impress some people, and they don't turn out the way that he thinks they might. And then things start to change in his world rapidly.
Do you know the cool story about the artist that got the contract for that?
I don't.
Yeah, so Piccolo did fan art of Teen Titans. And so he drew Teen Titans, like, what they would look like as actual teenagers, not, like, the superhero and superhero costume. Because, like, there's the Teen Titans comic, and then there's also the cartoon that came out, like, in the, 10, 15 years ago that was very anime style. And then we have Teen Titans Go now, which is completely silly. And Teen Titans fans versus Teen Titans Go don't get along. No, it's like Firefly and, like, Stargate fans.
I almost grabbed the Firefly book.
We have a fair amount of Firefly comics if you like Firefly. They're pretty good. But yeah, so, like, he was doing this fan art for it, and, like, I had found out about it because, like, my wife and I were here at Comic-Con, and we went to Jim Bartel's booth, and she had done her own Teen Titans print that my wife wanted, and so I was like, oh, cool, and we were talking to her about, like, yeah, we saw this online, we thought it was really cool, and she was like, oh, this is actually inspired from Piccolo's art, you should go see his stuff, he's down on Artist Alley, and she, like, gave us, like, the the table number and everything. Like, she's got her sister. She's like, oh, where's Piccolo at? 'Cause I know he's like 2 doors down, but he's like, and so it was really cool when you see a more established artist that like lifts somebody else up. He got so much fanfare around it. They offered him the contract to do it, and it's like so great because like
cool.
yeah, like I really love it because there's a Smith's album called Meat Is Murder, and so like he did a great fan art of like Beast Boy who's vegetarian, like wearing a Meat Is Murder Smith's t-shirt. It's just like it's so cool. Like it's just like a really cool way to like meld like awesome cool fandom with like a new hipper like stuff, because that's one of the biggest challenges in comics is like when they do the teens is like trying to draw them like hip and fresh fashions, and you can tell the artists that like sing at it and some of them that just do not.
Yeah, the art is really good, and the fun thing is like it's a little bit monotone, and then in Raven like the purple pops, and then Beast Boy the green pops, so you can actually kind of see. All right, that's got some blue hair, but you can see like that it's like a darker mix of blacks and grays and browns, and there's not a lot of like eye-popping color.
Yeah, so like
it's cool.
Him, Jim Bartel, and Chris Anka do teen fashion really well. Chris Anka's doing the new Runaways that Rainbow Rowell's been doing. Anyway, so my next one, I got a bunch of X-Men comics I'm going to talk about really quickly, because what's more science fiction than humans evolving from Homo sapiens to Homo superior with the X Factor gene. And then you're hated and feared because you're different. So I have a couple. We actually have all of the new X-Men reboot, which is very easy to launch into. I went to look for Powers and House of X, which is the starter book. It has been chucked out forever, so I should check that out and see what's up with that. But we have all the volume ones, and you don't have to read the House of X, Powers of X to like jump right into them. They have pretty good reboots. This one is Mr. and Mrs. X, Rogue and Gambit, 2 of my favorite characters. Actually, I love to hate Gambit because he's so sleazy. But they finally figure it out and get married. It's awesome. Their honeymoon is in space. Deadpool decides to hitch a ride. Things go horribly wrong. They throw him out the airlock, which is amazing because I love that. And it's really good. It's funny. It's great. I like how Kelly Thompson writes them too, because if you read like early Gambit, like from the 90s, he's like real sleazy. He's like that guy that's always hitting on you at the club, and you're like, no, thank you, and then like doesn't take a hint. But like he's grown as a character, and so she writes him really well. They have another comic later on. I can't remember, but like one of the things you find out is that Gambit has like a ton of cats because like he has his soft, tender heart. So, but yeah, so that one's just a really fun space adventure. This one is, if you are a Wolverine fan, this is the first epic collection of Wolverine comics. So. Not only is Wolverine a mutant, he's also a government experiment. That's how he has his metal claws. They're not actually, no one's born with an adamantium skeleton. That will kill you. Actually slowly poisons him in the comic later on. Spoiler. But yes, this is the first collection of his comics when he got his solo series. And that's what I have.
Cool. So my last one is being Supergirl.
That's our favorite Supergirl.
It is our favorite. We read this, oh god, I don't even know. It's been a long time. But the art is really cool. Okay. You gotta say Mariko Tamaki.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I almost got it. The art is really good. It was just a really great teen story. So it is a teen story. And it was just a really great, like, she's going to school, she's got all the superhero stuff, she's trying to fit in, but she's a little bit, how do I do this with my powers, and, I can't do this, and I can't do that, and I can't, how do I live a normal life?
I still think about the page when she gets the zit and it explodes, and it makes me laugh.
I want there to be, like, 8 million more of these, because it was really good.
I know, I like how there's an open ending, because I want her to do that. I think also Mariko Tamaki might be the first woman that's actually written Supergirl. She's usually written by men, which is part of the problem. Joelle Jones also did the art for that. She's great. She's currently writing and doing the art for Catwoman, which we also have at the library. Which is not science fiction. She's just a cat burglar. Alright, my next one is a DC, what do they call it? There's like whole other stories that are not within the DC universe, but they're with DC characters. It's like alternate timeline kind of stuff, but it's not really a timeline. It's just like we have a cool story, we want to tell it. So this one is Superman Red Sun. If you haven't read it, check it out. It's what if Superman, instead of falling in the middle of Kansas, fell in the USSR during the Cold War. And so then he becomes like a weapon for Soviet Russia during the Cold War. And then Batman is an anarchist in Russia trying to overthrow the government. So it's really interesting. It's a really different leg. It's something that you were not expecting. Much like Zack Snyder's Superman, but I think it's a little bit better. You can like Zack Snyder's Superman. I just don't like it. I like Christopher Reeve. He's so hopeful. My last book is a hard science fiction book. This is an omnibus, so it's very heavy that we got. It's called Black Science by Rick Remender. Essentially, like my tagline for this is like Lost in Space, but we lost the family. Long story short, the leader of the anarchistic League of Scientists, Grant McKay, has finally done the impossible. He's deciphered black science, so he can go through the barriers of reality with this machine he's created. The problem is when he does it, he gets separated from his whole family. So he's trying to get back to him, and of course there's it's when I say it's Lost in Space, it's horrifying Lost in Space. This is an adult comic. It's really good. And he also did another one called Low that we have that was science fiction story in a dystopia underwater because we ruined the planet. So yeah, so this one's pretty cool. This is the first 3 arcs too, so this will give you something to do over the weekend while it's raining.
Where's snowing?
Oh yeah, it's the weird New England.
New England weather.
So many people are like, oh, it's finally spring. I was like, we're gonna get at least 1 to 2 more snows.
So I'm from Vermont, and we always get another snow in April, and it's usually a significant one, but it melts quickly. But you always wait for that last final punches. You think you're oh, mud season, it's just about over. Nope. Mother Nature comes back with a vengeance.
Yeah, although we're only supposed to get a dusting down here in Colchester, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll see. I feel like we'll still be at work tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah. Alright, so thank you for joining us on Get Booked. Pick up your science fiction bingo cards. Fill out those cards, and turn them in. We'll have...
Yes, we'll draw a new winner next week. And I don't remember what the gift card is for, but it is for a local business.
For the month?
Yes.
But there's 2 more weeks in the end of the month. April has 5 months. 5 weeks.
Just kidding.
There we go.
2 weeks. In 2 weeks. So you have 2 weeks to finish your card. Or your card from the previous month. It doesn't matter which month it is.
Really, we're not judgy.
We're not picky.
Alright.
I still haven't filled in one of these out yet. I'm here, and not on the science fiction one because that's not my jam. But I haven't figured out a whole row yet.
I haven't filled out any of them.
You better get to it.
Oh, okay. I didn't think I was eligible, but okay.
I just like to see where I fall, because,
Oh, yeah, I guess. That is really good, although, I'd have to go back to my Goodreads. I read, and then I move to the next thing, and I forget.
Goodreads is amazing for that.
Yeah. Alright, so we'll see you next week. Who knows what we'll be talking about.